There's been a development. We know where we're moving now. This is all happening a lot faster than I thought. I think in the first moving vlog video, I said that we weren't gonna know for like 5 months or something. It's only been like a month, maybe a month and a half since I shot that video, and things are moving. So we've started packing, we've started getting our strategy together. We gotta color code all the boxes and reserve some big ass U-Haul and all that. That's still like a month away, but we're gonna try and move in like one shot or maybe 1 day, 2 days. That seems like the most time efficient thing. Traditionally, I've just owned hatchbacks and we've just made like 10 billion trips in my Mazda 3. But I don't wanna do that this time. I wanna do that a little more better. I cannot wait to show you guys the house. It is just perfect for this. There's this garage with like this gigantic ceiling on it. And then in part of that ceiling, there's like a finished studio space above it. It's just, oh, it's gonna be sick. The people that are in it right now though are currently moving out. So I can't really like go over there and film anything. It's gonna still take like a month before I can do any of that. But in the meantime, I do need to start packing up the old Bringus studio here. And I wanted to document the current setup. This video is for me as much as it is for you guys, to be honest. It's just gonna be really cool, I feel like, to be able to look back at the exact state of how I used to do things, which is how I do it now, obviously, and just like compare and contrast that to wherever I'm at in the future, which will be a really cool garage space. I'm so excited. But I think that would just be cool. I did do this once before, sort of. There was like, I think it was a Patreon exclusive video, it might be. I'm gonna try and get as many Amazon links as I can stuffed in the description of this video. Those are all affiliate links, by the way. I earn a small commission and I'm required to say that by US law. But without further ado, I guess we'll start at the most famous location of all, the workbench. So the workbench is filmed by this Sony ZV-E10. I hate this camera with a passion, and because of the presence of this here heatsink, I think you can probably figure out why. Without the heatsink, that motherfucker is gonna overheat in like 10 minutes tops. If I was recording 1080p, that might not be the case, but I am recording my videos in 4K, and that is a little hard on this guy. Other than that, I don't know. It's fine. I'm really not like a camera guy. It gets the job done. It records in 4K. It's better than a phone. But moving on, I'm gonna do this so I don't flashbang you. Oh, it did it anyway. The lighting system comprises of this one thing from IKEA that I'm gonna hopefully be able to put on the screen right now. I did have to make my own modifications to it. There's this piece that presses against the wall on this side, and then another piece on the center here that pushes against the wall. These are completely custom designed 3D prints, by the way. They don't exactly have a Bringus supply store that I can buy these setups from. So yeah, the setup is quite janky. That's kind of the geometry that we're looking at here. The reason it's mounted to the walls like that is because these poles are just clamped to the desk, and they're actually so high up, and this camera setup is so heavy that it just like rocks back and forth really bad. I would just like plug a cable into something and the whole camera view would just go like this. So that just kind of braces it against the wall. Once we move, this is not gonna stay the way it is. I'm gonna do things correctly. The lights, I believe, were just off of Amazon. I got those a long time ago. It was one of the first investments I made into this whole setup. I do still have the original light that I had filmed all my videos with originally. It's back there. It was a $20 garage light from Walmart. The one thing I don't like about these lights is that they do flicker at certain shutter speeds. And sometimes you can notice this on my videos. You can see like a darkness just kind of like going through the frame vertically very, very slowly. And it's something to do with the fact that these lights flicker a little bit at 60 hertz. I don't know, I've never been able to really fix that. But it is what it is. Moving on, this is the microphone that I record the audio with. It is an Audio-Technica AT2020 XLR. There's actually two of them. There's one right here at the PC as well. And there's two identical microphone setups because I'm lazy as hell. They both feed into this Zoom audio interface over here. I use this Zoom one specifically because it supports 32-bit float audio. And if you don't know what that is, you can kind of think of 32-bit float audio as like HDR for sound. That's the best way I've heard it put. So I can talk extremely quietly into the microphone and also just literally scream as loud as physically possible into it, and it'll capture all the detail low to high. And the cool part about that is that the noise floor is super low. So while I can capture super loud audio, it won't without sacrifice the quality of the low audio. Really, really cool technology. Here is the tower of power that I plug everything into. My fiance got that for me for Christmas one year, I believe, and it's actually become a mainstay in the setup just because of how many outlets it has. A little bit of a fire hazard, no big deal. This is some 24-inch Dell monitor, who cares? The variable power supply is that. Actually, more accurately, that. Half of it does not work. It was found in a dumpster to begin with. I'm probably gonna have to replace it soon. This big old gray thing is a solder fume extractor. It's just got a big old duct and a big old fan, and it hucks the smoke right out the window. This little monitor here is for specifically the camera view, so I can see what's in the frame. This is actually a really nice little monitor. I don't remember if it was 4K or 2K or what. I'm not actually certain that it even has a brand now that I'm looking at it. If I can figure out what that is and where you can buy it, I'll throw it in the description. I don't actually know if I'll be able to find it though. Gaben socks, essential piece of the setup. This was a clock from IKEA that fucking broke, so I just put Bringus stickers all over it, so it's always Bringus time all the time. It's also a good representation of how I feel about my work-life balance. My soldering setup is nothing too exciting. It's one of those, hot air and soldering iron. It's fine. I'm sure people more skilled than me would probably say it sucks. I'd be inclined to agree, but I also don't know better. All of my solder is from, like, actually the 80s. I use leaded solder at the cost of my brain. And that's about it for the workbench. Oh, I guess, like, the tabletop itself, this is actually part of, like, a rack thing. It's just this, like, storage rack thing, but I took the bottom two off. Like, you can tell this is not supposed to be a table, but it has been a table for the last, like, 4 years. This is probably getting replaced in the move. Don't worry, the tabletop will stay. But I think I'm gonna put something a little more sturdy in its place, because this thing is just not, it's not great. But moving on, this is the tool cart. It is on wheels, but it really doesn't do much rolling nowadays. We got the screwdrivers, the more screwdrivers, the other more different screwdrivers, SSDs, hard drives, weird phones, just all the stuff that I use to make my projects. I'll definitely include a link to this thing because this little rolly cart thing is super useful, especially if you don't have a lot of space. The idea with that thing originally is that I could kind of tuck it in a weird spot, and then when I needed it, I could pull it back out and then just put it right behind the desk, so, you know, I can be super efficient, work on things, grab my tools, work on stuff. I have a little bit more room in the current setup, so it kind of just stays there, but it has been very helpful in the past to have that on wheels. Super accessible, it's been great. This is my NAS, or at least it usually is when it's being a NAS and not being very broken. Does your NAS have a GPU hanging out the front of it? I don't think so. So I'm dogging on it a little bit. This thing is usually pretty reliable, but the HBA card just went out, which is great. Actually double lame because you're supposed to cool those things, but they don't have fans on them because they're meant to go in a server. And I had this fan blowing on it the entire lifetime of that thing, and it still died. I did extract it from some random e-waste power edge though, so who knows what kind of condition it was already in. But that thing is dead, and troubleshooting with this thing has been a royal pain in the ass because the CPU that I put in here is a Ryzen 9 5900X. And guess what CPU does not have integrated graphics? Now this makes a little more sense, huh? So anytime I gotta troubleshoot with this thing, I gotta stick this stupid GPU in there with this stupid little riser into the only free PCIe slot. It's a nightmare. I am downgrading the CPU to a 5700G pretty soon, probably later today, just because I really want the integrated graphics because I'm sick of this. I'm sick of doing this. I'm not really using those other 2 or 4, I don't even know, CPU cores anyway, so whatever, fuck them. How much storage do we even have nowadays? So these are 6 terabyte hard drives times 8. They're in some kind of ZFS RAID of some kind, I don't remember. Can you tell that a lot of my technology is just the means to an end? I just need to store stuff, bro. I don't care about this. I don't want to learn about this. I don't. I truly don't. The whole, like, Linus operating system, Hex OS, that one. I actually did buy a license to that, and I did throw this on here. But at the time I tried it, which was like 6 months ago or something, it needed to be a little more cooked than it currently was. So it's still just running regular TrueNAS. Maybe when that install goes to shit, I'll try Hex OS again. But until then, TrueNAS, and I I try to touch as little as possible in the operating system because I'm going to break something and I'm going to have a horrible time and I'm gonna have to do this crap again and I don't want to do this. I love computers. Anyway, moving on. This is how I keep my cables organized, and I promise you, yes, this is organized. SATA cables, figure 8 power cables, weird little USB adapters, dingle dongle things, PC power cables, USB power bricks, and okay, I'll admit this part's a little bit of a mishmash. USB cables, audio cables, miscellaneous cables. Then I forgot to print out the rest of the labels, but this is all power bricks, miscellaneous video camera stuff, and video cables. This is just some cheap dresser off of Amazon, but it has worked exceptionally well for what it needs to do, to be honest with you. But we will now move ourselves onto the tripod. Okay, so the tripod is nothing special, but I've got a fluid head on this thing. If you've ever tried to get really fluid, you know, just like panning motions like this with your camera and you just got shaky hands or you just can't pull it off for whatever reason, this is how the professionals do it. This is like a very non-professional one because it's tiny, but it does a pretty good job. You kind of set how much you want it to be able to move there, and then it kind of resists you just enough to smooth out your movements. You still have to have a fairly steady hand, but this helps immensely. So that is made by Small Rig. They make a bunch of cool little camera stuff. And now that brings us to the bookshelf. There's that controller from that 1 second channel video, some other controllers, but the main event here is this one. There is something, not from every video in here, but from a whole lot of them. This catapult is from the first video on the second channel. Got the Magneo. You guys may or may not know what that is. Depends on when this video is coming out. The Leapfrog, the Sussy Bucket, the GameCube Mini V2, GameCube Mini V1, that one CPU that I destroyed for a bit in one of the videos. I don't remember which one. Some rumble motors from the Operation board game. The Gordon Freeman bottle opener. Let's see, does this still work?
About that beer I owed you.
Yeah, it does. The Chinese translator pen, the XI3 computer. Look at this cool green one that a viewer found. This is from the PBS Kids tablet. So just a little bit of something from a lot of the videos. And then apart from that, it kind of gets more and more random because I just don't have anywhere to put any of this crap. Then more miscellaneous storage over here. This stuff was originally a little more displayed than it currently is, but again, ran out of room, needed to put stuff somewhere. The Ukrainian Half-Life 2 beta gum, which I really hope I will never have to chew. Prototype Steam controller, all kinds of little knickknacks and who knows what's. And then we have the GPU wall. This was a little project that I just wanted to do because I had a spare pegboard and a lot of spare GPUs and I wanted to do a cool thing. I think it came out pretty decent. They've all got these little 3D printed like mount caps on them so they don't get dust in the ports. And I think it looks all right. Here's the edge corner, the play buttons, which as you can see, got a lot smaller. This is my original one, and as you can see, it's dented to hell. That happened on Christmas Day, actually. I was pretty bummed, but it's all right. It matches the channel. Fans, more fans. Cool DVD drives and heat sinks and things. These are a little bit of a mishmash, but I guarantee you that this box is only fans. Then it brings us to the secondary recording location. This table thing that was also from IKEA. Shout out to Waterloo for keeping me hydrated. Not a sponsor, and you know that because I can do this. Fuck you, Waterloo. I've used this spot quite a bit over the years. I filmed the entire 1X player video here, I think. Either that or the Aya Neo 2S, maybe both.
Yes.
I was originally gonna shoot all the videos here that I wasn't really like taking anything apart. That stuff was gonna be reserved for this table. But then I realized that this table kind of has like a bit of a brand association at this point with my channel. So it made sense to keep using it for videos and then just using this for beauty shots, I guess. Like the Wii PC video, the Steambox computer video. You'll see some of the nicer looking, aesthetically pleasing shots are all shot here with this backdrop. I can come over here and hit this here button and then get some nice purple going on, and it just looks nice. This is just here in case I ever need to just slap a computer down there and quickly mess with it or troubleshoot it or something. I can either use this area or that area. Sometimes that's a disaster. Sometimes this is a mess. Sometimes both, and then I just can't fucking work on anything. But that's just the nature of being a gamer. Then the 3D printing zone, overseen by the foreman. Both of these printers have treated me exceptionally well. That one was provided by Bamboo, so I will disclose that. But this one I bought with my own Bringus dollars. Both excellent printers, can't recommend them enough. There's some drama going on with the firmware and how they're locking it down a little bit more, which is not great. But for the average user, you're throwing your prints over your network, you're printing your yellow box as you do, you'll be all right. Oh, here's another little hack for you guys. So a lot of people recommend glue stick on the print bed to get things to stick and release well. That's disgusting. That just gums everything up and it's just gross, and I hate it. I do not use glue stick. This is where it's at right here. I use specifically this brand because it's cheap. You just take some of this, you spray it, a whole light coating on the bed really quick, doesn't have to be heavy. Prints stick fine, they release great, and it even makes them smell pretty good. And then if they start not sticking so great after a while, you just pull the bed off, you just give it another coating, you're fine. Moving on, this is the test rig that I use, which as you can see, it doesn't get used much. This was just like a 9th gen i5 board that I just, if I need to test a graphics card or some PCIe device or whatever, you just slap it on there and do your testorino. The very advanced filament storage system. This is obviously going to be getting revamped at the new place. And now we move on to the editing rig. I have a love-hate relationship with the editing rig. Actually, I should amend that statement. I have a love-hate relationship with Adobe. But we're not getting into that, or else this video is about to triple in length. We're on the ProArt Z790 Creator motherboard. It is an i9 14900K CPU. And yes, I know, I would not have bought this if I knew that they had their issues. It was before that. 64 gigabytes DDR5. And a GeForce RTX 4080. But it has onboard 10 gig networking, which is very useful because there's a 10 gig link between my editing rig and the NAS. I can edit directly off the NAS, but generally I choose not to for situations like this. So there's also a big old 4 terabyte SATA SSD in there that keeps a local copy of whatever videos I'm currently working on. Everything else just gets moved over to the server when I'm done. I am editing in Adobe Premiere with After Effects, also using Photoshop and all that other crap that it comes with. If I was starting over today, clean slate, no skills established, I would probably try and just slum it through DaVinci Resolve. Not a huge fan of the program, to be honest. I've tried it a bit. It can be quite complicated, but at the same time, I also might just be like a familiarity bias. I know how to use Premiere. I'm fast with Premiere. So if you want to start making videos, I would recommend Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve for your editing needs. And yes, this is a bit of a disaster, but if it was all cleaned up before I filmed this, then I would be being disingenuous to you people, because this is how the Bringus operates. So this is a little Razer whatever thing. It's actually made by Loop Deck or Lupe Deck. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but this is highly useful. I'll show you exactly why. So when I'm editing a video, I set this up so that it has a bunch of controls on it. And now look at this. I can take this knob and adjust stuff like this just immediately, instead of having to go and like over here and then find the exact thing I need to change, and then boom, there you go. Especially because Premiere can be unintuitive sometimes, where it's like, okay, you want to zoom in your clip, you can't just like do this. Like, yes, it's zooming in right now, but what I'm doing is zooming in the entire frame. You see what I mean? Wow, that squeaking is really annoying. Stop. So it's very useful in that regard to be very granular and very efficient in my editing. Here's some keyboard from Keychron. I don't know, it was like 50 bucks. It works great. You know, I always keep those things on me. And my speakers were literally from like an e-waste home theater setup connected to this like pile box. I've also got this KVM setup going on. A KVM lets you use one keyboard and mouse from multiple computers. And that can be really useful because sometimes when I'm working on a video, I've got my wacky computer here with my keyboard and mouse, and I'll be doing it in real time. Like when I'm recording, I'm actually sitting there. But sometimes on the in-between parts where something's not working and it's just giving me a headache and I just want to turn off the camera and just figure the issue out, I don't like to move between here and there and here and there. It just gets old after a while. So what I'll do is connect everything up, hit the button on the KVM, open up OBS, and then I have the monitor feed on here of the computer of whatever's plugged in, and then this keyboard and mouse will start working on that computer over there. And then when I need to use the actual editing computer again, I can just hit the button on there, and then the keyboard and mouse will return to controlling this computer. So that can be extremely useful, so I don't have to just constantly be moving between these stations. Whoops, guess whose microphone was not on for all of that? But what I found that's even more useful than that KVM is this. This is the Jet KVM. Editor, please blur that MAC address. The Jet KVM has an Ethernet plugged into it, a USB cable, and an HDMI cable. Then you plug the USB into the computer, the HDMI into the computer, and then you go over to any other computer on your network, and then you can open up that computer in a web browser. And this is different than like TeamViewer and remoting, because this is more on like a hardware level, sort of. Like you can get to the BIOS of a computer here. You can't do that on like TeamViewer, because all this is doing is taking the HDMI signal from whatever computer you got over there, and it's pumping it through into the browser. So anything you'd see on a monitor, you will see on here. This is just a monitor in a browser, sort of. And then obviously your keyboard and mouse can control that computer as well. And the Jet KVM itself can also host ISOs that you can boot off of, like a virtual flash drive. This not a sponsor, but this thing is just sick. They're a little harder to get a hold of nowadays. It was a Kickstarter thing, and you know, with tariffs and all that bullshit, they're just a little trickier to get, but it's a super, super cool device. And I hardly use the old school KVM at all anymore. I usually just use this. It's so good. Okay, the desk that you see here, this is a FlexiSpot something or other. So FlexiSpot has been a sponsor of mine in the past, but they did not give me this desk. I purchased this desk with my Bringle bucks. It is a 4-post standing desk. It's one of their hardcore ones. It was expensive. It was like $1,000 or something, but I have sciatic nerve issues in my legs, and sitting down for extended periods of times feels like ass. So there you go. There is the tour of the current Bringus Studio as it is as of April 27th, 2025. And this is kind of the goodbye video, I guess, to the Bringus Studio in its current form. You know, like 90% of this stuff is coming with, obviously. For me, this is a very sentimental place to be, maybe even for you guys too. I don't know. We moved into the place we're at now, and I got set up here end of 2023, I want to say. The first video I filmed here was the X-Reel video with the Nintendo Switch, you know, gaming in public. That video was my first like big hit, and that was such a cool time. X-Reel wanted that video, but we were just moving in here, and I was like, I don't know, dude, we haven't even unpacked yet, and they wanted this video done in like 2 weeks, so that was a huge risk that I took, but they loved it. The video did great. It was a fun project, and I will never forget that kind of stuff. Never, ever. So take risks, enjoy what you have while you have it. Life is crazy. It can get worse at any moment, but it can also get better at any moment. Luckily for me, things should be getting better, you know? Fingers crossed, knock on wood. But I think the Bringus Studio and Bringus Studios both will be greatly improving soon. And I'm so excited, and I literally can't thank anyone else but you guys watching right now. You guys are my boss at the end of the day, and you have given me one hell of a promotion. I cannot wait to show you guys the space that we're setting up in. Oh, it's gonna be crazy. The amount of stuff I'm gonna be able to do. The video ideas list is huge, and I can actually start executing on a lot of it that I have not been able to in a bedroom. So I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. Again, I cannot thank you enough for helping to make probably my biggest dream of all time come true. I have wanted to do this since I was 8 years old watching other people on YouTube, but this camera says it's about to overheat and die, so we're gonna stop this recording here. Goodbye, chat. I'll see you in the next one.